Shush.
Ooh. Oh, we're live.
It's live.
Alright, we're live. Alright, I'll start. Okay, I hereby now call into session the House of Representatives. Yeah, stuff. Alright, who requests the permission to speak?
I request the floor, Mr. Speaker. Wait, I stand. I request the floor, Mr. Speaker.
You didn't do what I told you to do. The gentleman from D1 is recognized.
Alaska.
Alaska. Well, why didn't you send that? Just speak.
Whatever. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to bring to the point to the House of how unorganized our committee system is currently in the House. As many have seen, the current Speaker, Brett Patrick, who is not here at the moment, has made this system and changed it, and is very confusing for most members of the House. I ask that the House votes on a new system and finds our system that is less confusing and less about. Sorry.
A reminder to the representative, you will be kicked.
One second, I have something. Okay, so thank you. But yes, as I was saying, that the House is in a very disorganized in the sake of the committees, and I ask that the House start a motion to scrap this idea and find a new and better way for the House to proceed in the future. Thank you very much. I yield the floor.
All right.
I want the floor.
The gentleman from West Virginia is recognized. For how long?
Exactly 5 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not timing that. Just speak.
Okay, that's fine.
Moving on, does any other member want to speak?
Right, in all seriousness, I do have an actual point.
Alright, then speak, because I'm about to kick you.
No, you're not. So, my first point is, what's the point of having committees, considering the point of them is to craft legislation for specific policy areas, and we tend to do the free will anyway. I yield my time. Apparently I don't, so I'm going to read out my, I'm going to read you some things about, income inequality and...
Does any other representative want to speak? Mayo has been silenced. Okay. Connor, do you want to speak?
Not at the moment.
Ricky? Okay, well, everyone's complaining about these committees, but how would we solve any sort of issue?
And I have a point.
What? I just kind
Yeah.
of... The gentleman from Florida has been recognized.
Okay, I try to repeal the committees because we need to be more productive in those. But yeah, that did not work at all. I owe my time.
All right. So how could... Mayo, do you want to speak?
Yes. I think...
Hold on. Did I recognize you? The gentleman from West Virginia has now officially been recognized.
Okay.
Okay, Brett is in the just let you know, T-Dog, Brett.
Get Brett in this because I'm too lazy. I hate this job. Just speak, Mela. Mayo West,
Right,
speak.
right, I'm back. Right, I was kicked from the call. So where was I? Basically committees are useless in MEC. There's no point in having them, but there's no harm in having them at the same time. They're just a title for people's ego.
Guys, Brett's calling us digital
Don't
chat.
accept the call. Don't accept the call. Get him on into this call.
Right, whilst we're waiting for him, let me just talk to you about something. So, how can the UK government decrease income inequality? So first, let me frame this issue. For a significant period of time, income inequality has been a problem that has significantly.
Mayo, you're not doing that. Okay, Brett, you are. I resign my duties as acting speaker. You are now acting speaker. Or
Okay,
speaker.
so where were
Dictatorship.
you last? And wait, first off, I would just like to apologize. I'm in the middle of Pennsylvania, pretty much in the middle of nowhere on vacation, but I made it, and I would like to thank you all for attending, and also my apologies to you all on my behalf for making you late. So this meeting is pretty much about this upcoming house. Let's go in district order, so District 1, so and District 2, so forth. So, pretty much any concerns, plans, or questions about the upcoming Congress, the 17th Congress of May. So, let's start with District 1, which is Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we were stating before you came, we were most of them, all the House is very concerned and very confused with the current system of the committees and how the committees are being used. We think it is a mess of how the committees are being represented and used to, as the gentleman from West Virginia stated before, they're used to craft legislation, but here we have switched many times to have the whole to have the whole committee approve of legislation to then either chairman or both members, both ranking members. So the House is confused and wants to revise and have a new way for committees to be ran and how the committees will be ran in the House and for time forward. I yield the floor. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, so to pretty much explain to people that are not in the House, so pretty much the previous Congress was the 16th Congress. We're in the 17th Congress. I'm gonna go even before the 16th Congress, which many of us were members of, as Ricky, Cameron, T Dog, Mish, so on and so forth. So before that, basically the rules were you didn't have to go through any committees, so you could pretty much put up a bill up for debate without committees being involved. So then, now you fast forward to the 16th Congress, the previous Congress before us. They passed legislation which basically got the United States House of Representatives and MEC to be more realistic. So essentially, what it would have to do is it would have to be sponsored by the chair. Then it would have to go through a vote in the committee, and it would be more realistic. Now, the problem with that is that, well, the good thing about that is that committees got more involved. But the problem with that is that a lot of bills stalled, and usually we get a lot more activity from the House, but we didn't get as much the last Congress. So now you go fast forward to this Congress where we changed the rules. I believe yesterday it passed, where ultimately what happened was it needs to go to a full debate in the floor. It would need either the chairman sponsoring, which was in the legislation passed, or both of the ranking members. What it eliminated was having to go through a vote. So we could certainly look into that. Are you, just to be curious, does the House want us that committees are not as involved, or do you want it the previous way? Or do you want it where it can just go right to a full debate, or would you rather it be?
Okay.
Rather be what? Committees?
So basically, what he's saying is, do you want there to
Okay,
be...
Mayo, we know what he was saying.
Well, I don't think everyone
We'll
does.
put this in more order, guys, and like actual House procedure than just speaking out.
Right, okay, I request time on the floor.
Mr. Speaker.
Okay, right, so basically, Monkey, no. I'm
Mr. Speaker.
proposing a motion. I am proposing a motion. My motion is that for any legislation can be proposed to the House and does not need approval from its respective committee. The reasoning, it adds extra bureaucracy. It's time wasting. I found that each term of mine in the House, it was a race against time to get
Sorry,
done
I
as
had to take a quick conversation real quick on the phone. But
well, okay. No, I'm not. I've got time. So that's been my experience. So adding that extra layer of bureaucracy is going to make it even more difficult for any change to happen whatsoever. So my motion, as I will repeat it, is that legislation can be proposed for a debate in the House without the approval of its respective committee.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
yeah,
All right, I request time. Also, Mayo never yielded his time.
I yield.
Yeah, you do. You time.
I have time?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to bring to discussion that in the past Congress, we did have legislation that actually made committees interactive. They made the committees have a purpose. If we go by what Mayo is trying to say here, what's the point of even having committees? Let's just abolish them in general if we're just going to do what Mayo is doing. And if what we've done now, the first thing that this Congress has done is repealed something that the past Congress did. And it made a solution to a problem that didn't even exist. And the problem is still there. All right, with that, I yield my time.
Okay, I would just like to bring this up. So, I think all of us want committees to be involved. I think the problem was last Congress is that it had a stall, and I think that's the issue with the legislation that was passed previously is that many bills stalled. I'm sure this is coming from many other Congress people, and also I'll mention Senator Fitzgerald, who has contacted me about this. He had said that it also had been stalling, and bills had to go through the committees. I think that we should make keep committees involved, but I think when bills are being stalled, I think that's where a lot of us have problems with the legislation that was previously passed. But anyone else want to speak or respond?
Yeah, May I the floor?
I'll speak.
I request.
Wait, can we just ask for it in the chat so to make it easier?
No. We ask for it in the call because
Brett gets to decide who gets the time.
And I asked first.
No, I believe Mish did.
No, I don't believe Mish did.
I believe
like John Burkle says, order.
All right, yeah, Mish.
Okay, so my feeling on committees is that if we're going to have them, we might as well use them, like for votes and stuff. because we shouldn't just have them and be like, oh, I'm the chair of the budget committee. How fun. Like, no, we should actually use them. Or we should just not have them at all so we don't have to worry about any of this. So I don't think we should spend more time talking about this because it's taking away from actual issues.
Mr. Speaker.
May I have the floor, Mr. Speaker?
Yes. Quick, and then
Fine.
I'm gonna respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And then end this subject because we're not gonna get compromised anytime soon. But I think that.
Thank you,
look
Mr.
at that.
Speaker. I have many people I think as well.
Yes. Okay.
I
you do, and then,
my colleague, Mr. Dog, as he also pointed out, we should have committees be useful. How the current system is using, it's kind of doing as a hierarchy. You can either have the person sponsor who is the chair of a committee or have both. We should have the committees vote like it was originally supposed to be. If the people are lazy and do not want to debate and vote in the committee, then they are not fit to be in Congress and the House. You need to be able to be fit, write bills, and be able to vote on this. How the committees were originally intended were perfect, and I don't think they should have been changed. And I ask this be brought to a vote immediately.
I request time.
Oh my god.
Anyone else?
Yes, I literally said like 2 seconds ago. Oh my god!
Is it not
Yes,
going to
Leo,
vote then?
yes.
No, because I get my time first before it goes fucking vote. So my time. What I'm going to say is that one, not everyone has 10 hours a week to devote their time toward committees and everything. Second of all, I would be fine with abortion committees because, in all honesty, they're there to boost ego. I think that committees have essentially been redundant in both of my terms in the House, and it has functioned perfectly without them. So I think that we should just abolish them. They're just an ego booster, nothing more whatsoever. So I think the abolishment is the only way. And if the other argument is to keep them, and if we do that, it will stall progress of bills, which, whilst it does add an element of realism and more debate, I think the negatives outweigh the positives because it really does stall legislation. Finally, please don't demonize people who can't spend 15 to 20 hours thinking about how their committee will work because they've got work, school, life. I yield my time.
I agree with Mayo.
I request the floor, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Mr.
Speaker. Mrs. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
It's Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Can we just not have Brett be Speaker?
Should we vote on impeaching the speakers? No, I'm not.
Well, you also got to think people lied.
Oh yeah, a whole lot. And I think one of those people is you. But that's it.
Order! Order! Like John Berkeley says, order!
Order!
It's more like this. Hold on. I got it.
Order! Mr. Speaker.
It's like that.
Order! Order!
Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so we're obviously calm. Cameron, you get your time.
Okay, thank you.
I asked before Cameron, no.
Thank you. This will be very quick. Mr. Dog, this will be very, very... First off, I'd also like to tell Mr. Dog that this isn't my call, first off. This is my news channel. And also, I'd like to say to Ms. Elmer from West Virginia, you weren't even elected to this house. First off, you were appointed to fill... to take so Representative Collins' time while he's on vacation this week, and so I feel like his judgment should not be taken seriously as this, because first off, those committees are, what's the point of having committees if you do not have, if you just have an open debate? It was very hectic when it was open debate, and I feel we do need committees to be able to function fully like how they were in the last Congress. I do think this compromise we have now is not working. It is stupid and silly, excuse my language, and that we need something new and fresh. And
I request
yes,
time.
and I
I
also
request
request. No,
time.
I have not yielded time yet. I'd also like to say to the gentleman from Maywell, everybody has schoolwork and all that stuff, but people have to work it in as well. And it's not 10 hours a week doing committees. Committees are a very short time. So I'll say that. I yield the floor, Mr. Speaker.
Could I
Right,
speak?
okay, my time.
No,
I need to
Mr.
speak.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Right, okay, so I'd just like to point a couple things out.
I would like to speak.
Actually, no, two things about what the person said, the Greenleaf man said. Number one, he said that I'm only temporary representative, thus he implied my opinion does not count and I shouldn't be allowed to speak. And to that I say, what is the point of me being here? What's the point of me being here to fill in for Dom if I'm not going to do anything? The point of me coming in for Dom was to do things. It wasn't for me to sit in the background quietly. Dom could have easily just not been active for a few days and no one would have really noticed, whereas I've been put in here so that his time can be used more conveniently. And the second point, he said something else, I can't remember. Probably wasn't important, and I'm sure Mish has something important to say.
Okay. So again, I agree with Mayo because committees have no real purpose because A, we don't get to choose what committees we're in, and B, they're clearly wasting our time because of all of this. And we could be talking about real stuff, and we're not because we're talking about this. So I say let's get rid of committees because they don't do anything and they serve no real purpose for MEC.
Yeah.
Are we going to vote then? Oh, Mr. Speaker's back.
Right,
Sorry,
but the problem is,
it's
what is the motion? What
It's
is
in
the
the
actual
middle of the
question?
mountains. It's pretty tough, but to connect. But I was actually surprised. So, who in this chat is for the abolishment of the committees?
Me.
And
Me.
Mayowa and
Mish.
and
Mish.
anyone else?
Me, yes.
Yeah, Mitch. So 2 representatives?
Yes.
Okay, so so my response to that is I think right now I completely agree. I think that it's not working, which is causing a waste of time. Now,
I'd like to ask the floor, Mr. Speaker.
I'll give you a floor in 1 minute, but committees were made to make MEC more realistic. The downside of that is that in the coming days, even you're gonna see some people become less active, which becomes a problem in the committee process. So I don't think that it's working to the best of its abilities, but I don't think we should necessarily abolishment. Cameron, I'll give you your time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to say, if the Speaker thought committees were useless, why would he not just propose the idea, first off, of abolishing the committees instead of just making this hybrid that's horrible and not working at all? Committees also.
Okay, well, I'll take this one.
Wait.
Committees have been
I have not finished. I have not finished my time.
Cameron's time.
Thank you. And also, I'd also like to say that it was about the last point that you said. Wait. Sorry, what was the last point you said, Mr. Speaker?
I believe I said it's not working to the best of its ability.
No, I was saying,
You said that people were going to go inactive soon.
Yes. Sorry, yes, thank you, Representative Fox.
Good.
So the inactivity also, this has been seen in past houses. Yes, people do go inactive, but there's also something called impeachment, Mr. Speaker, and you can impeach someone and have committees still work fine if someone is not committed to staying in the house.
Well,
I just say we go to the next topic like everyone else wants to, because I think this is actually taking more time than needed.
okay, so if I could say something,
Yeah, Mitch.
so yeah, in my past experience with House, people have gone inactive, but like not so inactive that we impeach them. Like they might go on like once every 2 days or something, and that's just not. You can't impeach someone for being gone for 2 days, but it just really slows things down. And now with the committees, that's like 2 extra debates and 2 extra votes. And if we do the sponsor thing, that's you have to contact them, and if they're not on, then you don't get their sponsorship, and the bill doesn't proceed. So let's just get rid of committees. So we just put bills up for debate, then up for vote, and then they either pass or fail, and you don't have to go through everything else in between.
Okay, so we're gonna go on to the next topic. I just wanna end this. I think that we all should be for active representatives, and I think that there's something that has to change with the committees, which I think all of us can agree, whether we want it to be more powerful, less powerful, or just abolish it. But next topic is something that I want to work on. So a budget was passed recently, I believe in December, where we were having a government shutdown for like 4 months. It was like something crazy like that. Then President Adam Evans said that we should still try to get a new budget. Has anyone ever heard of the Fitzgerald Patrick budget? I believe some of you do.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, sorry, go on, Mr. Fox.
Oh, okay. So I just kind of have a question for Brett, because you're kind of more experienced than me. So do we just not have a budget right now? Like what?
Okay, so we had a budget, but it was sort of like a more temporary budget. So we are not in a government shutdown, but I think it would be best if we got a more updated budget. Not necessarily that the last one was bad, but it was smaller, and it was something that I can't remember it because it was a few months ago, but President Evans did want to make another budget. So pretty much it's coming back to that. So it passed both chambers, and the president signed it, like in July. It passed in July, but no one ever signed the bill. So the president decided to sign the bill, which he can do because it passed both chambers, and execute it into law and provide the funding. But then we wanted to make an updated bill.
Okay. So Cam, I think you had something to say.
I was to say the budget is passed. So I do not know why we are talking about this right now, and I like to bring up something even more serious. Like this great idea I have, which is making every speaker of the House change their profile picture to John Burko. Just kidding, don't worry.
Okay.
But I have to leave, so bye. Oh wait, I have to turn the thing. We get the NL.
Wait.
Oh, all right. Bye. Thanks for watching.